Be-ee-doo-low. Watch your back, the trench is gonna get you. Watch your back, the trench is gonna get you. Watch your back, there's a giant here. Watch your back, it's a coming from the agility. Gotta wash those red hands. It's the crimes of the Badlands. It's the crimes of the Badlands.
Quick content warning. This podcast details crimes and descriptions of violence that may be disturbing or triggering. It may not be suitable for all listeners. We'll do our best to warn listeners about what to expect before each episode and to include them in our show notes. So enjoy the show. Have a really long break for Christmas, and then it's a very long stretch before you have any other time off. So
I've had a 3-day weekend for a long time, so
yeah, lucky you. If only I were so lucky. Someday, that's the dream.
Yeah, we'll make it there once everybody's
yeah, come on, people,
being nice. Let's and Patreon-y. Yeah,
we don't need to work so much. Why don't we just pay people reasonable wages to work 3 to 4 days a week?
Wow. IRL, it's like March, right? End of March.
Yeah, very end of March. Tomorrow is April.
Yeah, it's April.
Tomorrow's April 1st.
It's April in Japan.
Oh, in Japan it's April. To Japan.
I've already listened to the news from April. Same old.
Yeah, so that's when we're recording this. So you'll hear it much later.
Because I was going to say, we're in the middle of an AI revolution. Maybe we don't have to work anymore in March 10th.
And maybe, when this comes out, we'll be there. We'll be living in AI.
So let's think positive. But in the meantime,
here we are in the end of March.
There are still crimes in the world.
Yes, always. There always is.
There's still descendants of Basque people in the world.
Yes, always.
And that's our favorite theme for the podcast.
Yep. So it's Crimes of the Basque Lands. We talk about crimes in the Basque Country. And
all the lands that have been
populated
by their descendants.
Yeah.
Wherever they are.
Wherever they are in the world.
Yeah.
Tonight we're drinking a classic.
Yeah.
From Basque Lands Brewery.
I know, which I was thinking we must have been semi-inspired by our podcast name through their beer, right?
Perhaps.
Because we drink that a lot.
Yeah.
Quite regularly.
It's true. And they're a very good brewery.
We really recommend this beer.
Yes. I think they're making waves around the world right now.
Yes, I think so. And appropriately so named, Imparable, Unstoppable.
Yeah, that's what we're drinking, the classic one, the IPA.
It's lovely. Very nice hobby profile. And,
clink.
Boom. That's us.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. So this week we have another
Txikisode.
Which
means small.
It does mean small, but as we were reminded after the first episode,
it's not small. It's going to be the same length.
It's the same length episode. It's just the stories are short.
Yeah,
there are many.
It's only highlights of little mini crimes. I guess mini. I mean, the crimes might be big, but
we're
only going to cover them briefly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a ton of stories.
I do.
Today.
I always have come with a lot, but that's because I just eat
good.
This stuff up like breakfast.
I mean, you love it.
Yeah.
I've got my two minimums to kind of give some variety here.
Yeah, and to try to get somewhere else in the world.
It's true. I'm good at bringing in the outskirts of the Basque.
I generally stick to the Basque Country.
It's all good.
But Douglas is our international investigator.
Yeah, I explore further fields. We were joking that our research methods are kind of newbie.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll just go crimes, Latin America, and it's like we get a lot of statistics.
Yeah, we learn a lot by our search engine.
We do.
Our searches, yeah.
But one of my favorite methods where I usually get a little bit faster results is just looking through surname. So I've mentioned this a couple of times. Yeah. I said I just looked for a
surname and crime surname, which is great.
Yeah, Bloods plus.
Yeah.
They usually come up. And so that's the method I use today.
That's amazing. I think it's a good way to go.
And you came across some statistics. Was that the first story you?
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, I'll mention I'll mention my statistics that I found when I talk about one of the stories for tonight.
Oh, I have to say though, like just to think about statistics as well. Like today I wrote like one of the surnames. I forget which one it was. We'll get to it, and I'll remind the listeners that was the one. But I just searched it, and I forgot to put like caught or crime or police.
Arrested.
Arrested. Something. So I just put the name in, and I was like, oh, so many nice stories. I was like, there's something wrong here. I'm like, oh yeah, you forgot to put crime.
You forgot to put something bloody in search.
I just want to prime our listeners to remind them, and all those surnames, if we take away the word crime, are full of lots of nice stories as well.
Of course. Yeah. Generally, the world is full of good people.
It is.
Crimes are pretty minimal, in terms of percentage.
Yeah, they are. They are pretty decent.
What's happening in the world.
Yeah, it's all about this impressions, right?
Yeah. We hear about all those crimes, but in general, people are doing great things.
As well as bad things. Yeah, it's true. But more good things.
Not, it's always more good than
way
bad.
More good things. Exactly.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to get out there and live your life.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
On that note, my first story, okay, I'm going to start with the more gruesome stories from the last period since we did our last Txikisode. So the first stories that I'm going to tell you are not lovely.
It's going to get easier with time.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the worst ones, and then hopefully we can end on a more positive note.
Fingers
at
crossed.
The end of this
That's
episode.
the idea.
Yeah.
Wish us luck.
Yeah. So shall I begin with this first terrible story?
Let's go with it.
It's terrible.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this happened in January of this year, 2023. So a woman poisoned her 2 children.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Who were ages 8 and 10.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Here in the Basque Country.
Yeah, in Baracaldo, Baraka Town, as you told me it's called.
It is.
In a previous episode.
It is their informal name.
It was in Baracaldo. And so with some unknown substance, they didn't say what substance she used to try to poison her children, and then she tried to cut her own throat.
Oh my gosh.
Commit suicide, essentially. To commit her own suicide or take her own life. She had called her ex-partner, who was the father of these children, to inform him of what she was going to do, and he was the one that called the authorities. So luckily, because she had done that, they arrived on the scene and were able to save the children and her.
Okay, good.
So they, so nobody died in this story.
Oof, I mean, it's still very traumatic for everybody, but I'm really happy the kids survived.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, their lives, they're gonna need fixing, but but first steps first.
Yeah, it's definitely trauma. But so
that's
the first terrible story that I have from the news of recent.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear. And do we have any names in this story?
There's no names.
I mean, that's.
I think they're probably like protecting the children's identity.
I think definitely children's names shouldn't be.
Yeah, so
and I guess even the surname
names in the story.
Yeah, would probably.
Maybe there's other stories that have come out since then, but that give her name. But no, they didn't give the name.
Well, Greater Bilbao.
Yep. So that happened here where we live. Yeah.
Very sad.
Sadly, and it was like 1st of January, so New Year's Day.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, emotional times. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman was clearly needing some psychological help, and pressures over New Year never help anybody, huh?
Yeah, and if you're like, I don't know if they were recently divorced or what have you, and so maybe
family time,
and it's Christmas, after Christmas,
hard.
So Anyway, that's the first story I had.
Well, I hope they recover as fast as they can.
They did. They're
in
fine. They
terms of
survived, and
the children.
they're recovering, and I'm assuming they're going to go into custody with their father.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah. So that's my first terrible story.
Well, that was terrible.
Yeah. I know. And I've got more.
Let's go.
So
let's dig that hole.
Let's get worse. So today is, at the time of recording, it is March 31st, the end of March. Yesterday, in Deusto.
Fresh off the press.
And which will bring back our conversation about stats.
Deusto is it's part of Bilbao.
Yeah.
It used to be an independent municipality. And the one I love about it, because they're very, very proud of their neighborhoods. Like, it is a neighborhood now, but it's important to know that it used to be a municipality.
Yeah.
Like, they have their own football team.
Probably had a town hall.
For sure. They definitely had a town hall. But, of course, football team also creates a lot of identity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But the part that I find hilarious as a foreigner who's not used to like local terminology, like the name of the municipality of Deusto was the Republic of Deusto.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know if it's an informal name, but everybody, I've heard.
But like as a joke, or as like they were serious?
Everybody says
we are a republic.
That's how they say it. However, I don't know if it's like a weird translation, but it's like what everybody says. It's like, yeah, La República de Dios. I don't know if it's like a joke as in, they think they're like a republic. Or if it actually was literally historically. But, it's just a thing you hear around town all the time. So I think
all right. Well,
it's
maybe something to look into.
It's cute.
We have talked about Deusto in an episode.
Have we? I think I remember talking about
the Kuchabank one.
The tomatoes. Did I mention tomatoes? Because they're very famous for tomatoes as well.
Oh, are they? Why?
I think I mentioned that already at some point. I guess they...
It could be. We mention a lot of things.
Bilbao used to be very small, and Deusto kind of used to be like the
outskirts.
The outskirts where you would have vegetable gardens. So I guess they were just famous for their tomatoes.
And today they're known for their university. It's one of the most prestigious universities in the country, in Spain. Yeah, for law and business economics. Yeah. So there you go. Well, this is gruesome as well. Sorry, everybody. So, trigger warning. I should have given you a trigger warning for the other one about the children.
Whoa.
So I'm really sorry. I did not. But trigger warning.
We put the general trigger warning in the entry.
Yeah. So if you're listening to True Crime Podcast, there's going to be some horrific events. Yeah,
come with a turf.
Yeah. So this just happened yesterday. Okay. So, and it's another fucking terrible case of a man who has broken up with his partner and attacks his partner.
Oh my gosh, how ridiculous.
So this was a 60-year-old man who went to the home of his ex-partner, who was 58. Well, he beat her up and he set her on fire.
Oh my gosh, what a ridiculous.
Yep.
Stupid dickhead.
Yep. One of the many. So she's now in the major burns unit of Cruces Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So her status, we don't know.
Yeah, it's
at this point. They have a 15-year-old daughter together. According to neighbors, they were a very problematic partnership. There was they interviewed the neighbors of the two because it happened at the house where they once lived together. And the partner said they constantly fought, blah, blah, blah. And she had thrown him out of the house on several occasions. And so the neighbor that I guess talked to the police about their relationship also said that he was the one that heard screams coming from the apartment and called the police.
Oh my gosh.
So they were able to come and intervene. And actually he said that the neighbor was the one that went in to put out the flames.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh. Very hard.
Yeah,
very hard.
Really hardcore. Yep.
So it's sometimes good to stick your nose in your neighbor's affairs for their sake.
Especially to save their lives, yeah.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. So this was the story I was going to say when I was when I do my searches too. I just put in crimes, Basque Country, and the year to see what comes up. And I always get like stats, right? Like how many crimes.
Oh, right. So you're learning
the types of crimes that have occurred, like if it's robbery or if it's assault or if it's murder or whatever. And then it then leads me to these other articles that say that actually in the Basque Country there are less machista crimes, because these are considered
Sexist
gender violence crimes, or sexist crimes. Yeah. So
less than in the rest
of Spain. Yeah. They're lower than the rest of the
I mean, I'd
state.
expect that. It's a very matriarchal society in the sense that women have a very powerful position in society, right? They're very present. They're very strong. They've been present for many years. So, I mean, I assume that would help lower those kinds of numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. They say it's a matriarchal society, but I don't know if I say that. I wouldn't call it a matriarchal society. I would say, yes, that women have a lot more, how do I say? They are more involved, let's say, because there's a lot of fishing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fishing culture. So there's a lot of places where men are away for a long time. So women tend to take care of business and the business of, like, the men go fish, the women take the fish and then sell it. So they're a lot more involved in the economics.
Yeah, and a lot of times
historically than in other places, I would say. Yeah.
And historically as well, we've mentioned already Basque whaling being a very historically important trade, and I want to and also cod, trading for cod with Norway and Iceland and things like that. So, like, they're very long trips, so they'd be away for months. Like, they went to North America.
Exactly.
Before other Europeans
so there's
did.
They're the ones in charge at home.
Yeah,
like,
for months.
Dealing with,
and
for long periods of time. Yeah.
Bringing up their children, and a dangerous kind of profession as well, of course, where sometimes those boats wouldn't come home. And so they would be the heads of the household. Yeah. It's a possibility, and they knew about that. So I that's definitely.
I mean, that absolutely feeds into the culture.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not.
But I wouldn't go so far as to say that this is a matriarchal society. People here say it is, but I wouldn't say necessarily that it is.
It's more like gay friendly. Like, there's no gay friendly country, but there are more gay friendlier countries.
They are, yeah.
So I think in relation to other patriarchal societies, is very matriarchal, but it's not matriarchal really
in the absolute sense. No,
not in absolute sense,
not systemically, but maybe culturally.
No,
there's a lot of respect for the women, the mothers.
But that's the thing. It makes a big difference if in the last 300 years, women have been able to inherit, there's a
huge feminist culture here,
to run businesses, to and here they've always kept their name. You never adopt your husband's name.
But that's the case all over the country.
It is, but here, not in Portugal. I'm not sure about France. Actually, it might be the same in France. But, those things count.
Yes, absolutely count. Yeah. Absolutely count. Yeah.
So,
I think in Latin American or anything. No, they take the men's name in Latin America.
As far as I understand, yes. But maybe they might not. As far I
don't know either.
In Brazil,
we're
they
going to have to look into that. They do. They take the men's. The father's name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The woman takes the husband's name as her own?
She does, but also the children have both surnames.
See, that's different.
It's in a different order than in Spain, because in Spain you go first name, middle name. So my name's Douglas Alexander.
Yeah.
And then here it goes father's name, mother's name. So the last
then father's second last name, which is his mother's last name.
You're going too fast. You've lost half of our audience.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what you were going to say?
Well, that they keep all the names. They keep both their matriarchal and their patriarchal names. You
mean when you marry?
Paternal, maternal. names. Yes.
So like in my case, so Douglas, my
or
first
even
name,
children of a partnership.
Yeah, like when you marry,
Have
you don't
4
change
names.
your name.
No.
Yeah, but the first
don't.
2 names are not family names necessarily. Generally, you just get 2 family names. Generally, like your husband only has 2 family names, right?
Mm-hmm. He literally has 4.
Sure,
but he goes by 2.
Oh, right. So he did
Goes
write
by his
down all
father's
4
and his mother's, and then he has 2 more added on to that. So he has 4 surnames.
Well, there's a thing here which I guess we have to talk about now. The 8 surnames, right? This is
the 8. Yes.
This is a thing in the Basque Country.
Yeah.
So if you know your 4 surnames, that means you know every one of your grandparents' surnames, right?
Uh-huh.
And if you know all of your 8 surnames, that means you know all of your great-grandparents.
Yeah.
Although it should be more, right? Shouldn't it be 16?
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. 4, 8. Yeah, we're terrible. Bear with us. So it'd be 4, then it'll be... No, that's right. That's 8. Yeah, it's the parents. It's 8.
It would be the 2. Yeah.
It's all the man plus all the wives' names in a way.
Yeah.
So then you get 8. So if the line goes, and this is a bit of a joke, and there's a film about it, and it's a very funny film.
Yeah.
Which is you're only really Basque if all of your 8 surnames are Basque.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the joke. But on paper, you're only required to have 2, and generally that's what people do.
No, people usually go by 2.
Your husband is a bit. I
2.
mean, he goes by it, but he goes by
2.
4.
But there are 4 because his mother has 2 that are his mother and his father have 2 others.
Yeah.
That he's not going by, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Some people have them, some people don't. But generally, we don't write them in our birth certificates here or in Latin America. We only get 2.
I don't know about birth certificate. I've never looked at his birth certificate.
Well, I'm doing nationality things, so I'm looking into birth certificates. My great grandmother, not great, just great. So she had like 3 first names, like 1 first name, 2 middle names, and then her 2 surnames.
Okay.
But that was in Catalonia. She's Catalan, not Basque. But it's the same surname tradition, and it goes same order. So it's sort of similar.
Yeah, they alternate, right? Father, mother, father, mother, father, mother, right?
In that order, exactly. Yeah. Whereas in Brazil, Which
is still pretty patriarchal, right? That the father comes first always.
Well, it depends how you look at it, because the 2 cultures I grew up in,
at it.
That's fine. But however, from my point of view, like I grew up between Portuguese and English. And so in English, you ask me what my last name is, not my surname. Oh, you can say my surname.
But last name is surname.
It is, but not in the case of the Basque Country, right? Because it's your penultimate name that is your surname, not your last name. It's not literally
now we're
your
losing
last
the listeners.
Because
Americans say last name, not surname.
Sure, but what I mean to say is also it doesn't come in the last place in terms of the male name. So your husband's father's surname comes before his mother's surname, and then his mother's surname would technically come in the last place on his name, but it's not his last name. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Which is,
he's going by his, in general, he's going by his father's surname.
Of course, like most people. Yeah. And it's not that matriarchal yet.
No. Yet? No.
Not yet. But, yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page, right?
Yeah.
My point was that as a gay guy who has been with people of, Basque culture, all my partners actually were Basque. Sometimes we thought about adopting. I think I'm getting older for that right now.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that's in my past. But when that came up, there would be a question about a surname.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was cute that if I had a baby with another guy from here,
Mm-hmm.
both of us would be happy because I would be happy my name would be the last one. And he
Uh-huh.
would be happy his name would be the one before last.
And why were you happy that yours would be the last one?
Because in my both cultures, the last name is your surname, not your one before last.
Oh.
So if you were called, Ganusa Garcia, then in all the countries that consider your last name your surname, Garcia would be your last surname. However, in the countries where, like Castilian speaking countries, they would consider the one before last the surname. So my partner would be happy here and then maybe Latin America, but I would be happy in Brazil and in the UK. It's like, everybody got their cute little intercultural relationships. There's some benefits, many disadvantages. But that was one of the nice, cute.
Woo, that was a tangent, huh? On surnames, we didn't even see that coming.
Surname. I love family trees, and I've been doing the family trees.
I know.
So
Yeah, you're very into it.
I guess
You actually got me into it.
I love it.
Thanks to you.
Everybody should do their family trees, and half of our listeners probably have Basque ancestry.
I bet I have some back there. I've got to figure out.
We're gonna find that.
I'm gonna find some crimes.
I'm sure that'll be a special day.
Special episode.
We can have a family crime day.
Yeah, where we talk about our own family members.
All the crimes we can find
from
in our
the
own
past.
family.
They're long dead. We can talk about them now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I stretch the net wide enough, I'm sure I can find a lot of cousins in prison.
I'm sure, and even mini crimes. Like that counts.
I mean, mini.
That's harder to find, but
yeah. Wait for this.
Major crimes, maybe not. But.
Super AI might be able to tell us about our family.
Super crimes. AI, I don't know.
Like every week.
There's not a lot of fact checking there.
Every week, though. No, it's not factual yet.
Yeah.
Maybe when our listeners listen to this, it's become factual, but
maybe
not yet.
Perhaps.
Well, guys,
let's take a break. Okay.
This is a good chance for a little break.
Yeah.
Bathroom break or whatever.
Yeah. Let's do it.
See you in 2 3.
Okay.
Hi there, we're back.
We're back.
So
hey, Douglas, what's your story?
This crime occurred in Chile. The neighborhood is called the Thames, 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 which is, the river Thames. Yeah. Apparently, there's a neighborhood in Santiago called that.
Okay.
And this guy who was 23 years old, unfortunately, was killed by a shot. And this guy was on the loose. He was shot. It was there was a party going on, and this guy came running in, sort of as an excuse that he wanted to save this guy outside, and apparently he is the main suspect. And finally, they got him. This happened in January. And on the 15th.
So wait, somebody got killed.
It was in January
at a party.
So the thing was, there was a party in this neighborhood, in the Thames neighborhood, and this guy came running in and said, "Help! Help! This guy is on the floor. He's hurt." And they went out, and they saw the guy had passed away. They called the police, but this guy who went into the party was who shot him.
For him was the one who shot him.
And so today we're seeing the news that he was sent to prison for 16 years for that killing. And they have during the process, they found some witnesses who did see, they just kind of randomly were having an argument. There's no explanation as to why, but Jorge Garro, was shot on his lower back somewhere. I said lumbar area. That was the area there.
The lumbar, yeah.
And he passed away almost immediately. So today, Fabian Lucero is the guy who was condemned for
his death. And so Garro is the Basque.
And Garro is the surname from
the victim.
From Iparralde, from the northern Basque Country. From the victim, unfortunately. Yeah. So we don't have an actual like real cause. We don't have any explanation in a couple of articles that I read about it, but at least he was condemned for 16 years. So
the victim was Garro.
Yeah, Jorge Garro was a victim, and the guy who killed him was Fabian Lucero in Chile. And the surname came from north of the Basque Country. Cute, like apparently there's a valley, Garro, or maybe Garro if it's French, but it comes from Basque, of course, Garro. And there's a castle and everything. I've never heard of that, so
no, I've
it must
never
be
been
tiny.
There. Must be tiny, tiny valley.
Lucero, I think, has some kind of connotation as well in Castilian. Do you know?
I have no idea. I mean, Lucero I've heard of, the surname, but I don't know if it's Basque or not. I don't think so.
No, it's not Basque at all. But I just think it's got some weird meaning that is related to death as well.
Oh, like Lucifer? Like the devil?
It actually is a variation of Lucifer. I just checked on it. It is actually
so
that.
The devil killed him.
Well, it comes from light, Lucifer.
Because he was if I remember my Catholic upbringing.
Let's see.
He was the fallen angel
that
became Lucifer.
Okay.
So I can't remember how he
here it says
he got into, bad business with God or whatever, and then he became Lucifer. He was the fallen angel. I know that.
I remember that. And here in etymology it says because he was the carrier of light, apparently. From the Greek hespero. Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, but wait a minute. I want to check the dictionary because I think it's an actual word. That's what I should have done in the beginning. Sorry, guys. See, it is a word, and it means a bright star or Venus. Lucero, yeah.
Means bright star. Okay.
Okay, well, I must be thinking of another word. In any case, that bright star, that shine of light killed our poor Jorge Garro.
He was, that's what happened with Lucifer. He just seemed like he had a lot of promise, and then he did something really bad. I can't remember what it was because I've blocked out a lot of my Catholic upbringing.
Yeah. Well, I watched
but I can't remember what he did to piss off, the higher ups to make him go down to hell or whatever and become the overlord of hell. Become the devil, basically.
I mean, there's probably 80 versions, right? We have to choose.
Probably. Most likely.
I have to say, I still am a very big fan of the Netflix show.
Oh, Lucifer. Yeah. That's true.
They kept going on a lot.
Every time Douglas takes care of Nana, I can see his what he's watched on Netflix.
Yeah. My gay themed things I can find.
You love Lucifer. Is there a lot of really hot men?
Yeah. Well, he for one, he's bi, which makes me very happy.
Okay.
And it's an American series, so there's enough ass kind of.
There's some ass.
Keep you entertained. Mm-hmm. He's a sexy little boy.
But is it about a devil? I haven't watched any of it. Is it good?
So it's a little bit cheesy, of course,
naturally.
But it's like, and it's a kind of cute take because somehow he is a devil and yet he cannot lie.
Oh.
So he has to say the truth and he's just always using subterfuges. Plus everybody's saying, "Oh my God," and he's like, "Not my father again." And he's always like.
So he refers to God as his father.
Because it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that cheesy bit. It's like, and so all the times it's kind of like just awkward that
don't
God
bring
is
my
mentioned.
father into
this.
And
he will kind of just people don't pick up on it, and I just love it. So they went on and on about how unjust it was for father to do that with him, but it didn't specify what he did.
And I can't remember either.
Yeah, I'm not sure they were.
I know I was taught it at some point, but I can't remember.
I don't think they were really closely looking at the
sure
Bible. Yeah.
Maybe they are though.
I think they were.
Good writers would do that.
You think?
Yeah, they would.
They
would build on a story, that was already there.
Well, yeah. Versions and versions.
Of course, everything's a version.
It can take
everything is a version,
but it can take us so far from reality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. Like sometimes I see that, and you guys have seen. I love etymology, seeing where words come from.
Yeah.
And it's really weird sometimes. And I'm sorry I don't have an example right now, but a lot of times, now I'm studying Norwegian mostly, and it's crazy. You'll find a word, and it's like from German, and then that came from Latin, and then that came from Turkish, and then that came from Arabic, and you're like, it used to be a cushion in Arabic, and suddenly it's somebody's name or a way to kill somebody. It's like the name, like the words go across culture and they become something else, and it becomes
they
something
lose
else.
all meaning.
Well, not that they always have
or
an
they
aspect.
build on a meaning.
That's
right?
the thing.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They're building on something that was already there.
They build, but in a very different. I'm not sure. Build, riff on. I think riff on.
Sure.
Is more where I'm going.
Good, yeah.
So by the fourth riff, I don't know if we've got much connection with.
So you don't think the TV show has anything to do with?
I mean, it obviously has something, but there was this special, sword that would kill anybody, even God or something. And I was like, I'm not even Catholic, so I don't know if that exists.
Yeah, that could exist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember anything like that, but it's possible.
And then it just depends what Christian you are as well, though, because there's so many versions.
There's a lot of different Christians. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Do you think Orthodox Christians believe in Lucifer?
Yes, I do.
I think they just call him Putin. Sorry. I hadn't planned that. It's true. Depending on your political leanings, it'll be either Lucifer or Biden. So I go back to the story.
Yeah. So your surname, though, you were saying is could be from French, of French Valley. Garo,
it was a valley in France, and there's a little castle, so it appears that's where the surname came from.
Okay.
In Berra,
which is
Navarra.
A good, how do you call it? Like a lead-in? Oh, God, I forgot the word.
Hook.
Not a hook.
Sort of. It's...
Shit.
What's the name of that thing people do in podcasts?
Yeah,
a good lead-in?
No, it's not lead-in. Oh, man, I can't remember the word. Vocabulary escapes me now.
Hook.
No, it's not. Oh, shit.
Transition. That's what you want.
Yes.
It's a good transition.
Okay. So, your story about this valley in France is a good transition because
in the northern Basque Country, Julie.
Oh, excuse me. Northern Basque Country. Southern
France.
Thank you. Does actually transition into a story I'm going to tell you that was big news in our first story about French Basque Country.
Well, I mean, we did touch on Northern Basque Country in Witches trial, right?
True.
We did mention, although not much happened there.
Yeah.
It was a bit of living in the Northern Basque Country before.
Yeah. So this happened in a very, this is a beautiful little town, San Juan de Luz.
San Juan de Luz, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's a really...
I've
been there. Have you been there?
I have.
Mm-hmm. It's lovely.
I hesitated a bit there, but yeah, I have. I went there for Corica.
Oh, you went running? Douglas, running. You did used to run. I remember you running at one point.
Corica... Shall we explain to
go ahead.
people what it is?
It's a
very cute little project. So it's a project that people have created to support the Basque language and Basque education. Mm-hmm. So the way it works is I think it's every year, right? It's not every 2 years. It's every year. So they make a whole route around all of, I'm not sure if you have to go through every Basque province, but it goes through all the Basque Country, big circle into Navarre, into the Basque autonomous region, and then into northern Basque Country. And every kilometer has to be sponsored by either a company or a private person or whoever wants to sponsor them. And each year they manage to usually build a whole new school. A Basque
Txikisode.
Yeah, an Txikisode, which will teach children usually in Basque for the first year. So they just do that as a way, for years to try.
Txikisode is like a primary school.
Yeah.
In Basque,
In Basque, yeah. So, for regions like in the northern Basque Country, which with a very centralized French education system, they really had no option in a public system to study Basque. So they had to have these kind of private schools to be able to study Basque historically. I mean, now it's easier and there's some more options, but yeah, France is very bad at teaching anything but French. So it's super important there. And here it was also important because, you know, after dictatorship, there was very little education in Basque initially. Yeah. So I went up there, and we, you know, you don't need to run like a lot. And I think I would.
No, you can do like I've done
1K,
it. I did it 1 year, and I did like a kilometer.
Yeah.
So I just ran through Bilbao for a kilometer.
Exactly. And it's a lot of times it's just for fun, and you've got, you know, music in Basque when you're running, and people are, you know, singing little things, chants in Basque, and it's just, as well, you know, it's a Basque culture thing, and it's very sweet.
Do you know it's even reached Boise, Idaho?
Oh, I'm sure it has. That's so sweet. I didn't know, though.
In Boise, Idaho, yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because, you know, they have a Ikastola in Boise, Idaho as well.
They must, yeah, of course. That's so nice.
So they even have the Korika in Boise, Idaho. Shout out, Boise, Idaho. Shout out.
And I think since we're mentioning it, and let's hope it's unlikely to find any crime connected to the Korika. But
it's possible, huh?
Let's mention to the listeners the little thing they say. When they shout when you're running, they go.
I don't know.
They go tipi tapa
like
Korika.
Step.
Yeah, step.
Yeah. Just
Korika.
one step at a time kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just one more step at a time.
So it's always in your rhythm. Tipi tapa Korika. It's very cute. It's very cute.
It's cute.
You know, once you've done it for, you know, that's exactly. I didn't do it for long.
I only did it once, yeah.
But it was traumatizing enough that it sunk into my heart.
Why was it traumatizing?
You know, running.
Yeah, running is hard. No, I enjoy running.
Not really. It's just very much a cute cultural thing, and
yeah, it's fun. It is fun. It's a good. It's a fun experience.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're doing a little bit of like physical effort, you're lifting something between 3 or 4 people. People go tipi tapa tipi, you know, kind of like let's go. Come on. So it's just kind of cute. So we're in
so now we're in the northern Basque Country,
indeed,
which, you know, is in San Juan de Luz. It was a terrible. This is also very terrible. So a 54-year-old Spanish teacher, so they were teaching Spanish in this school, was stabbed by one of their students and killed.
Yeah, I heard about that story.
Yeah, we all
it's
heard
horrible.
About it. It was a 16-year-old teenager who apparently suffered from psychiatric problems, and before attacking claimed that something like, quote unquote, "It's not me, I'm possessed by the devil," is what they said. So
I'm laughing because it kind of, that's why we mentioned it, was the witches.
yeah And it was a Catholic school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this attack occurred on Wednesday morning. Well, this was when did this happen? This was in, oh no, I usually put the date. Oh yeah, recent. February. It was in February 2023. So it happened on a Wednesday morning before 10 a.m. at the Colegio Santo Tomás de Aquino, who is a very famous...
St. Thomas Aquinas?
Yeah.
He's very famous in Catholic...
What?
He's a saint, Julie.
Oh, he's a saint. Okay. That's why I know the name. Like, why does that sound familiar? Yes, a private Catholic school. So this person got up from their desk, went to lock the classroom door, and then went directly to the teacher who was at the blackboard. And he took out a knife and stabbed this poor teacher. Yeah, it was I think it was a woman.
Oh, really? Poor person.
Yeah. So the rest of the students tried to escape from the classroom while this was happening.
Oh my gosh.
But it was another teacher who intervened and convinced him to hand over the knife. So, yeah. And while, before the police arrived, apparently this student confessed to that teacher who had convinced him to give him the knife, that he had heard voices and was possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, sadly, this is a kid that apparently had good grades. It was not a troublesome student, no criminal record. But yeah, there was a record of them having some sort of psychiatric disorder.
So was the teacher, did she die?
She died.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it wasn't clear when I first heard the news.
Yeah. So that's pretty sad.
That's very sad.
Yeah. That was the first crime I'd heard about, that's the French Basque Country.
Mm-hmm. The northern sides.
Yeah. So
that's in Basque we say Iparralde. Ipar is north, alde is side, so it's like the north side.
The north side of alde. Yeah.
That's why
I've learned that many times on this podcast.
You see, you're gonna learn at least 5 words.
Of course, I'm learning every day on this podcast, which is the point. I'm learning along with all of our listeners.
Let's learn. Mr. Tommaso d'Aquino, as you were asking beforehand.
Oh yeah, who the hell is that?
He's born 1225.
What did he do that was so special?
Was an Italian Dominican friar and priest, an influential philosopher and theologian and jurist.
Yes, that's it, philosopher.
I mean,
that's why it sounds familiar. Yeah,
true. And jurists in the tradition of scholasticism from the county of Aquino in the kingdom of Sicily. Yep. He's known within the tradition as the Doctor Angelicus, the Doctor Communis, the Doctor Universalis, or whatever, right?
Interesting.
Natural theology. Well, I'm sorry, I'm sure he wasn't. Inigo does mention him a lot, so he was important.
No, I think that's why it's more familiar than my Catholic upbringing. I think it's more of a philosophy thing. I think he's pretty famous.
Wasn't he the one who...
I don't remember, because I also don't remember what I've learned in philosophy from my studies.
I
did study philosophy, but...
You did? Yeah?
At university.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, at uni. That's nice.
Well, I didn't major in philosophy, but I took philosophy classes in college.
A year or more.
Yes, because, it's all part of... I have a communication degree, so you always learn about theory. And so there's a lot of philosophy in that.
Nice. My biggest problem is I never remember names, so... I'm like, I remember the ideas, and then I'm like, what? Who was that? Here we go. Aquinas was a prominent proponent of natural theology and the father of a school of thought encompassing both theology and philosophy known as Thomism. He argued God is the source of the light of natural reason. Oh, we're back to Lucifer.
Right. It's all full circle.
Sorry. He argued that God was the source of light of natural reason and the light of faith.
Well, he sounds like a real religious type. So
yeah. Greatest medieval philosopher, theologians. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
12th century.
Anyway.
He was into gods.
Yeah.
And then somebody got possessed, maybe by Satan.
Maybe. Maybe.
Too much light in that school. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just trying to move on. Just trying to move on.
All right. I'll give you one more story and then we'll take a break. Okay. So this is my last. This one's not as gruesome, but it's not great.
It's not your last story, but it's your last.
No, the last one before our break. Okay. So on, let's see, this happened recently. This happened on Tuesday this week.
Oh my gosh. We're way up to, we're too up to date.
Way up to date. This happened on Tuesday. So, there was this woman who, was living in a flat in San Francisco.
Okay. Close to our neighborhood.
Yep, it's in the
between our
neighborhood. And she rented. Okay, I'll just read you the highlights. All right. So on Tuesday morning, the woman tried to leave the house in order to buy food. This is a translation from Google, so I'm reading it directly from the translation. But when she tried to leave, the door was locked and couldn't leave. Okay.
Her house?
Yes, a house that she was living and renting.
Oh.
Right? That she lived with a couple. Right?
Oh, right. Okay.
So she had agreed to live in this apartment. The story is that she agreed to live in this apartment with this couple, and perform sex work, because apparently that's what they did in this apartment. Okay.
But she was allowed to do that, we're saying.
Right. And I think that was the deal they had with everybody who lived in that apartment. Right. It was
so there was
it was a place where you could go to.
One more couple, or there's more people as well?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's not clear if there was more people also living in the flat. So she said, okay, I'll go rent this room from you, and I will practice sex work from this room, and I will give you part of the, like, as in a commission. Like, I don't know what they would get.
Okay.
Like
I don't know. I
they would get a part of
pay
her
rent, but
part of her sales as well as
sure.
Because
so he's kind of a John already.
They were like allowing it to happen.
No, the John is a client. Who's the guy who?
A pimp.
A pimp. He's kind of like the owner is kind of a pimp now.
Yes. So like had an apartment that was pretty much set up, I guess, for women to come in and out to do sex work, and he would get part of a pimp. So he'd get part of the money. But it was a couple, apparently, not just a man.
Oh, right.
It was a man and a woman.
Right.
So they made this agreement where she was like fine with that. Like she was a sex worker, so she was going to, and then share part of her money and pay rent, I guess. But when she went to leave one day to buy food, she went out to go shopping, she couldn't leave.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was locked, and she asked them to open the door, and they refused to open the door. So basically they illegally detained her in the place.
Yeah.
So she ended up calling the police, and apparently they had like an argument about like, oh, please don't call the cops. Let's try to work this out.
Oh my gosh.
But it was too late. The cops were on their way.
Good.
So this couple was then arrested for detaining her illegally.
Of course yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Poor woman.
I know.
Poor woman.
I know.
I mean, that's difficult enough a situation to be in. Imagine people. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then then it's like scary. And it's like, oh, great. Now I'm unsafe. I thought I was doing something safe where, I might be in a place where I could determine who I bring here and how I want to do business. Yeah. And then to then be like faced with the situation, like, oh, they're not going to let me out. Like, so they're going to try to hold me here against my will and try to control me somehow.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I mean,
I think they got arrested for it. So luckily she was able to.
Good. I'm not sure how permanent solution that's going to be. It sounds a bit temporary, really.
No, it sounds like they're going to get like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to do what they're doing and to somebody else. She's probably going to leave, but
hopefully
somebody else will probably take her place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we have to mention, like, I think it's similar in most developed countries, but here it's a very big problem, people trafficking, and even to the point of where we can confidently call the situation slavery in a lot of situations. And there are a lot of cases like that.
Forced sex trafficking.
In the whole peninsula, in Spain, in the Basque Country. And that sounds like it's so common to have people in inhumane, illegal situations that this guy kind of was, this couple,
felt just
felt
like
they could do that.
They could do that,
because
because it felt so
a lot of times
permissive for them, right?
It felt so acceptable in their kind of world, right? In a way, and I think we have to talk about this a couple more topics. For example, one of the issues is that a lot of those people who are trafficked are from third world countries, and a lot of times either they don't have a passport,
they're immigrants, yeah,
or the people who traffic them are keeping their passport, or they're controlling them somehow through paperwork,
or saying like that they owe them X amount of money, X amount of money.
So all those things
to pay back their debt,
very problematic, and all probably, even if not directly in this case specifically, they're all issues that we're having to deal with here. Yeah, for sure. And it's really, really sad.
So now basically, even though this couple got arrested, this woman is probably still in another shitty position. Like now she's got to find somewhere else to live. And
well, at least I'm confident, and I don't,
I can't imagine she's in a great place either, even though this all, was resolved. No. Like it could have been much worse, obviously, but she's still not in a great place.
No, because even if her intention was to just continue with her, what she's been doing up till now, it's not that simple to find a place where you're able to, do sex work
safely. Yeah.
Yeah. Safely.
Feel safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the last one of my really
harder stories.
Hardcore stories.
It was lighter than I'm still.
Yeah, I'm out of death. Done with death.
I've still got one more.
Now.
I've still got one more asesinato.
Okay.
What do you call it? Killing.
One more death.
One more death. Yes. But before that,
let's take a break.
Let's take a break. We're back. Hello. How you doing?
Okay.
So it's my turn now.
Yeah.
The story is that in El Salvador, Margaret Chacon Zuniga, or Zuniga, yeah.
Zuniga. Yeah. Probably in El Salvador, it's
Zuniga, probably, yeah. That's true. In any case, let's see if our listeners are starting to tune into the words. I'm sure they might identify that Zuniga is the surname that is Basque.
Yeah.
And so she is married to Andrés Felipe Pérez Hoyos.
Okay.
Is her husband.
Okay.
And they are accused, both her and her husband, of planning and being involved in paying for the asesinato?
The murder.
Murder.
Like murder for hire.
Murder for hire of Marcelo Pecci, who was fiscal paraguayo. A fiscal.
A prosecutor.
Is that what he is?
Fiscal, yeah. He's prosecutor.
So that's what he is. He's
okay, so they were arrested?
So yes, they were arrested because they were organizing
a murder for hire.
A murder for hire of the prosecutor. The prosecutor is called Marcelo Pecci or Pezzi or
Pecci, probably.
Pecci, yeah. If it's from Italian origin, we assume it's Pecci. And so that's why she was apprehended in El Salvador. But all the killing and everything happened in Colombia.
Oh, so they did kill this guy.
They did, apparently. And the husband was already in jail, and she was fugitive. And one of the
slippery.
It was very slippery. I mean,
she slipped out of there.
Yeah.
She's like, honey, you go down for this. I'm gonna go on holiday. So they were from.
She escaped. Yeah, she escaped to El Salvador.
They were from Colombia, and then she went to El Salvador, where she was arrested. Okay. Yeah,
and she was trying to settle there. We know this because she was with another man, and she was presenting herself as single and a housewife.
Oh.
And why is the housewife? I mean, I just read some.
That's what they called her.
No. They didn't call her a housewife. She was presenting herself in El Salvador as the kind of partner to this El Salvadoreño, trying to get nationality or citizenship.
Okay.
So in this documentation, she presented herself as a housewife. Why is that funny? Because she only left the country, I think it was 170 times. and they were like, well, where's all this money coming from?
Yeah. Or you're just a lowly housewife.
Yeah. And they were
with
like,
all these well, some housewives have a lot of money with their husband's money, right?
For
So
sure.
they can leave the country on holiday girl trips.
Yeah. One of the funniest comments in the story I was reading, I mean, it's not that hilarious, but she was like, it was like, and then it was specifying, I don't know if it was like plane trips or whatever, but it was like, out of those 70, none of them were for Colombia. They're like, that's suspect, because she was going.
Wait, none
everywhere.
of them were from Colombia.
To Colombia, so from El Salvador. So she
okay.
went everywhere apart from
but
Colombia.
Okay.
So, that was part of them being suspect.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So she and her husband in Colombia hired someone to murder
Marcelo Pechin,
a prosecutor
from Colombia.
And then he was arrested for the crime.
Yeah,
and meanwhile, she took off and went to El Salvador.
Yeah, but both of them just paid. I mean, they didn't actually.
Well, yes, but it's also a crime to hire somebody to murder someone.
Of course, I'm just highlighting the husband wasn't, there, and this was part of our fun discovery. We had to Google what 1.5 billion.
Oh, what they paid.
Pesos, yeah, that was.
So that's what they paid.
1.5 billion pesos, which turns out is
400. Wait, that's a lot for a hire. That's a lot for a murder for hire.
Well, but it is a prosecutor.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
So that's 400,000.
People do that for so much less.
For our listeners, $400,000 US.
No, it was 200.
300,000 euros.
I thought it was 200,000 euros.
290 something thousand euros.
So 300,000 euros.
But more or less $400,000 is what the.
That is a lot to pay somebody to murder someone.
It doesn't necessarily say it was one person. I think there maybe was a group of people. So, I don't know. I guess murder is getting expensive, Julie.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot. In all of my true crime.
Oh, really?
History. Like reading about murder for hire and all this stuff. Never has it reached $400,000.
I'm not into these prices. I'm
never.
Like,
I think
that's a house.
There are people that murder for $5,000.
Oh yeah.
$10,000 is like a good take.
Yeah, but like that's a husband.
Maybe
not a prosecutor.
Maybe tops I've heard like 20,000, but 400,000 is a fucking lot.
But that's like 5,000 is like a husband. Prosecutor, come on.
I guess because it's high profile. It would be a high profile case. So
he's got security.
Yeah, true. It's more. Yeah, but Jesus Christ, I've never heard that in my whole life.
Really?
No, and I've read a lot about this stuff.
I mean, that's what Google said.
Wow.
But they were saying that 1.5 billion was all the money involved. It didn't say so. There were 8 months after the killing, there were no clarity about who the intellectual authors were, but they knew that there were coordination between various countries, and there was more than 1.5 billion pesos
involved
handed
in
the crime. Yeah, they saw.
Wow.
Que se entregaron, so they were handed over more than 1.5
billion in
pesos.
Colombian pesos. Yeah,
because it's 1,500 millones, so I get confused because they say 1,000 million, which is a billion.
Oh no,
that's a billion in English. Yeah, 1,000 millones is a billion in English.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, it's not a billion.
I know.
In Castilian, but there you go.
Damn, that's a lot of money.
So we didn't go a lot into this. I'm sure there's political motivation, right? Because this is a prosecutor.
I'm still a little confused about the story. So
tell me.
So she's married to this guy. They hired somebody
to kill a prosecutor.
Many people to kill this one prosecutor. They put a lot of money into it, obviously. And then she went to El Salvador.
He got caught right
got
after
caught and arrested
for
the crime.
She disappeared.
And then she took off.
Mm.
She fled the country and went to El Salvador and presented as a housewife.
The thing is...
And what brought her down was like that her status, like when they looked into her back, when she was trying to get Ecuadorian, not Ecuadorian, El Salvadorian nationality.
Yeah.
They were looking at her flight history.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Ma'am, you're not presenting who you really are.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Because the first story that I came across is kind of saying like, Interpol has
because they were looking for her, yeah.
So Gustavo Villatoro, the Minister for Justice and Public Safety in El Salvador, and Interpol have confirmed the capture of the woman who was the wife of Andrés Felipe Pérez Hoyos, and they're highlighting that the president of El Salvador is insisting that they're not like a refuge for criminals. And so it feels like they knew this woman was there somehow, and they were like, oh, you don't want to like extradite her through Interpol. And so apparently this was a bit of a process. And so because the president had to come out and say, we're not like a refuge for criminals, it appears like he was either blindsiding them for some time and not answering, or maybe looking like a refuge for criminals for some time. But apparently he's, apparently come out and said, no, we're not going to be a refuge for criminals. So it's kind of, it looks like
he had to defend himself because she was there.
It appears she was there too long.
Interpol and whoever else was looking, El Salvadorian,
Justice,
or Colombian authorities were looking for her and found her in El Salvador. And then El Salvador had to come out and say like, no, we're not trying to hide
exactly
this person.
It seems like that. And through this process, they didn't know initially that she was a criminal, but it comes out.
I'm curious about the whole thing though, like how is she presenting as a housewife?
So the thing was, another person was taken into custody, which was her supposed partner in El Salvador.
Okay.
So he was presenting as her partner, and she was presenting him as her husband partner, and so she wanted to get papers. So through him,
she was trying to get papers to be a citizen of El Salvador,
or at least legally settled. And it turns out she was a criminal in Colombia. A good, big convict. Criminal. Yeah,
not a convict. She wasn't convict yet.
No, but
a person of interest. I don't know. What would you call it?
Escaped fugitive.
Suspect.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
So Zuniga is the surname, and I don't know the origins. Shall I look into that, or are we good with it?
Why not?
Let's have a quick check.
Where does that name come from?
It's kind of an unusual one. I'm not sure we're gonna find it.
I tell you, when I went to shout out to Libreria Camera in Bilbao.
Oh, did you get anything about a?
It's one of the oldest bookshops in Bilbao. And I was in there, I don't know, a few months ago. I think it was probably over Christmas time, looking for gifts and stuff. But I ended up finding a few crime books.
Ooh.
And one of the books I found was an alphabetical list all Basque surnames.
It's very Basque to be so organized.
And I was like, should I buy this book? Just to have every single Basque name listed.
Oh, it was just for surnames?
It was all surnames. It was just all surnames.
I thought you meant like criminal surnames.
No. I found some crime books with the Basque Country, but I also saw this book that was just Basque surnames.
I mean, that's beautiful.
And I was like, we should buy those.
I do love that. I mean, there's a lot of
for the pod.
There is a lot of online resources in general, but I do.
There is. But
I do look up random ones.
It was a pretty thick book too, so
there's a lot of surnames for sure. It was first found in Navarre.
Okay, Navarra.
If a surname is very small, it's very hard to find reasonable information about it because, sometimes there's just like 100, 300 people with that surname.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, yeah. Here we go. Habitational name from a place in Navarre named Zúñiga. That's nice and easy.
Always from a place, yeah.
From Basque Suin, cultivated land, a field, sorry. And
Suin means cultivated land?
Suin. I mean, I don't recognize that name, so it might be Old Basque or maybe Basque.
Or from Navarre.
In Navarre, yeah, it could be. But I don't recognize it as a name in Basque today. It's not like my Basque is that good anyway. But cultivated field and iga, which means an inclined slope. And I can see that igo is to climb. So yeah, it makes sense that iga would be. So a cultivated slopey.
That is on an incline.
That's where that family was.
Damn.
On a slopey field. So Miss Slopey Fields was apprehended.
Good. Well, it's actually like with that amount of money that she paid for this murder.
These crimes are high.
I can't believe she didn't get away with it.
Right?
With that kind of fucking funding behind her that she wasn't able to get away with it.
Yeah. She got to Asia.
With that amount of money.
Right? Go to Asia. Don't stick around Latin America. Hit it, baby.
How did she get caught?
She
had so much resource. She had so many resources.
Clearly, 170 trips everywhere.
It's just an idiot criminal.
They deserve to be caught.
Yeah, they do. They do.
It's not like if they were intelligent about it, we'd be happy. But Jesus,
no. But I mean, with that amount of money, it's just insane that they don't get away with it. Anyway, yeah, that's not here nor there. They should be caught. Yeah. Obviously, it's good that they were caught. They found her. That's great.
They did. Shout out to all the good Zúñigas out there.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Don't let this crime taint your name.
No. Let's hear all about the good stories. So you have a good story now. Wow.
Okay, so let's go more lighthearted. All right?
Yeah.
Shall we?
Well,
okay. I'm gonna go with this story that's not lighthearted, but it's not as devastating. It's just an accident.
Okay.
Really. And
more of a health and safety.
I was thinking because, it's March going into April that I started cleaning up our terrace.
Spring cleaning time.
You start planting things and
open cupboards.
Yeah, you try to, plant stuff start to be growing, right?
Oh, right.
This poor man, a 65-year-old man, died yesterday. When was this? 29th. Today's the 31st. So 2 days ago. 2 days ago. 65-year-old man died 2 days ago when a tree fell on him when he was trying to prune his trees.
And it fell on him. That's unlucky. Gee.
I know. This is in San Sebastian. He was just pruning his trees and the tree fell on him. So the tree is the one that committed the crime.
Yeah.
This story.
That is
poor guy.
So sad.
I know. Like, I think about these types of things all the time. When you get older, you start thinking about like the weird things that will kill you.
Yeah.
You're just out pruning.
It can be anything.
It could be anything at this point.
Could be a glass of water, honey.
It could be falling out of the shower. Like
tell me about
all
it.
These things. Yeah. So this poor guy, 65. So he's probably like just retired. Finally retired from his working life, just trying to make his garden beautiful so he could just chill out there and enjoy his life. And poor guy got killed by his own tree.
Man, that is sad.
I know.
Also, not as gory.
No,
but
not
just
as gory, but
fatalistically.
Yeah. And then, okay, I have another story that's also like timely for right now. Okay,
yeah.
So we are coming up on spring break, but the spring break here is all connected to Easter.
Oh, right. You're right. Yes. I mean, I try to ignore it, but you're right.
So I always call it spring break because I try to get rid of the
religious
aspect of it.
Mm-hmm,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So literally we have time off because it's Easter holiday, right?
It is true.
Mm-hmm. So in Balmaceda,
which is
They're
a
getting
town in
geared
Basque
up
Country.
for their living passion of Christ.
Oh my gosh, it's
representations.
famous.
So if anybody's ever been here during Easter,
Mm-hmm.
it's nutso.
There's a lot of weird things happening.
Very, very nutso. And as an American, when I first came here and there were these parades during Easter, everybody looks as if they are Ku Klux Klan members.
KKK.
Yeah.
That's what you heard.
That is what they're wearing. Like they're wearing robes with the cone hoods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super freaky.
Some are in white.
Some are white, some are black, some are
are
red,
purple.
some are purple.
Yep,
Yeah.
there's all sorts of colors.
But it's fucking freaky.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And let us just, for the sake of historical accuracy, the KKK did inspire themselves.
Was inspired by
them. Like, so.
By these Christian,
Mm-hmm.
like
Their
rituals,
processions. Because of this relationship with the KKK, I was like, I've never looked into why they put some cones on their heads.
Yeah.
Like
why they're disguised. Why are you disguised?
Yeah. Like one of the aspects, like, which is weird as hell, because I used to live like 7 years or so on Cortes Street. Cortes is
where there is a procession,
the most famous procession in Bilbao.
Mm-hmm.
And for context, I think it's necessary for context. It's one of the.
How can we describe it?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
There's a few layers of I think context that we need, which is first, it's one of the toughest neighborhoods in Bilbao.
Yeah.
That goes connected with the fact that there's a lot of sex work, a lot of immigrants, for centuries, at least a couple, in the sense that there has been a lot of immigration from Spain, and that's part of why the procession is there and what happens there. Why do I say this? Because there is a tradition in Andalusia of singing to the saint that is being carried by the group of processing people, and that either a saint or Christ or some, Mary, somebody important for that, and they'll go down. And in this case, I know that there's a Christ that goes down.
It's Christ. Well, because it's.
I don't know. Does it always
I
Christ?
know. It's because
I believe
it's
you.
Easter.
I believe you.
It's when Jesus died. He was crucified, and then he came back to life.
I know that element.
So the procession is about his crucifixion. I think.
Well,
it's all in that area, right? He was crucified and then came back to life. Those are the days of Easter, right?
Yeah. The interesting thing in my interpretation of it is, I live in this very conflictive street, which is usually, let's just say, a little bit dirty, because it's not, super downtown. And now they're keeping it a little bit cleaner, but Bilbao has high standards of cleanliness.
They really do.
Why is this important? This is actually, I'm not mentioning this for no reason. It's because, and this, it's not only adults that do this procession. It's a lot of children, and they go barefoot on this asphalt street that has had a lot of drug people taken.
Or glass. There's broken glass. There's dog shit.
Everything.
There's like...
They do clean it before the procession.
You can imagine.
But they do. They come through
people pee and...
Before we shock everybody, they do come through with the what do you call it? Bleach, and they bleach everything, and they scrub everything to some extent. But yeah, it's like to watch these kids with the little cone hats, and
I know it's freaky as hell.
It's very freaky. So it was so much shocking shit that I never really cared about why there was a cone on their heads. So I get the no thing on your feet, right? You're gonna suffer with Christ.
Yeah.
But the cone, I don't get it. But yeah, all the cleanliness to say they go barefoot, a lot of them.
Yeah. So this in Balmaceda is where they take it to the next level, right? So this is the story. They're all like gearing up for. So in Balmaceda, which is in Vizcaya, which is I don't know. It's not that far from Bilbao. It's what?
No.
I don't know.
Just
20
west
kilometers?
from here.
Yeah. And it's they have one of the processions that are most popular because they reenact the whole crucifixion, including with people literally flagellating themselves
with the
and barefoot. What, straight range or
no,
razor?
Razors. Yeah, they cut themselves with razors sometimes.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I thought they were just flagellating. Like
but what do you flagellate with? Razors
onto their back.
I mean, in Latin America, there's a lot of places.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're doing in Balmaceda, but maybe. But it is. I've heard that it's quite. We haven't actually gone. Douglas and I have not seen it firsthand.
No.
We've heard a lot about it,
yeah.
And we know that it is a big deal, and that there are like thousands of visitors that go every year to watch this.
And we know there's blood.
And there's tickets and
like
everything.
Real blood.
Now. Yes, people are actually.
So, however they beat themselves.
Yeah.
They beat themselves until there's blood.
So they basically reenact the whole Passion of Christ or whatever. Where
exactly.
So they're gearing up for that. So I thought that was appropriate for this week.
It is.
The whole gear up to that.
It is. It'll be a little bit late when this comes out, but
okay. So this is the story. Is like every Easter, Balmaceda is the scene of a living Stations of the Cross. Right. Mm-hmm. So each part of the
there's a reenactment.
Right?
Yeah, there's
they reenact
stages, I guess.
Right. Stages of the cross. So 700 people participate in this tradition, and it's been maintained for centuries. So despite the fact that some authors date its origins to 1480, the year in which plague epidemic devastated the town, there's no documentary confirmation of the existence of this representation until 1771, when the processions of Easter and Corpus Christi. Okay, so that's officially, I guess, documented of when they started doing this whole reenactment.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the 19th century, new elements such as the penance or Nazarenes or the Pharisees or the soldiers of the Roman Guard were introduced, which became one of the most characteristic elements to this day. In this last decade, the 19th century, the top character by definition of Holy Week, the Nazareno, or Jesus Christ, is mentioned for the first time. It is from this moment that one can speak of a living representation of the Passion of Jesus Christ. In 1963, what is undoubtedly the peak moment of each staging was incorporated, the crucifixion. So that was like Google translated to from a webpage I found about this, like where you could buy tickets to watch this thing.
The reenactment.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
It's intense. It's very intense.
Super intense. Okay.
So you're just mentioning that happens and that people
which I
hurt
kind
themselves.
of see as a crime because it's just nuts. So first of all, that there are
crime of logic.
I don't know. Like I don't know why I see it as a crime. It's always shocked me to see these.
I'll tell you what.
As it has you, right? People that look like they're part of the Ku Klux Klan.
I'll tell you what.
Walking through town.
Like that is shocking.
Very shocking.
Sure. Although I also understand we can have points of view that color our impression.
Sure.
And
obviously, I'm an American, so to me that's like shocking.
Those, grown-up people have the right to express their religion however they want. And I totally support that sort of, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. But that's the line. And I think, I didn't know that you didn't have a specific problem against it, but I'm happy to say
I don't have a problem against it.
Taking your kid barefoot on Cortez is a fucking crime.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And I think it's a crime to bring up a child. And now I might burn half of our listeners in the US, but I'm just like, I don't think it's okay to make your child your religion. I think it's a child's choice to choose their religion. And when you get to the point where you're making them walk barefoot on freaking disgusting asphalt in the middle of town, that for me is a bit of an abuse. So of course it's not like that kid's got to be adopted, but kind of abuse, but it's still like, that's way too much than I would accept from my parents personally. I mean, I would, if I could divorce my parents the moment they told me to do that, I would. Like, that's kind of how I feel, like, I don't think it's they're not like abusive, but it is psychologically unfair and not okay.
Well, I mean, I think it's normal that you raise your kids in your own religion.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. I don't think
And
it's
even like
morally
walking
okay.
on a dirty street is not criminal in my opinion. Because I mean, my parents let me do.
I was allowed to walk
barefoot.
barefoot,
Yeah.
but that's different to saying now you're going to walk barefoot, right?
Yeah, yeah, like for the Passion of Christ.
Exactly. It's like I didn't choose myself to, and they said okay.
But my parents did let us choose. They raised us up to a point, and then they let us choose if we wanted to stay
in the religion.
Yeah,
sure.
As minors, so that was good. It was good for my parents. Like I respect my parents for that. So I understand parents wanting to raise their kids in their religion, but yeah, I can see how you could see it being child abuse to walk down Cortez.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Buddhist and I'm gay, so I don't think it's acceptable for people to impose their expectations on my sexuality just as much as I don't expect them to, I don't expect to be imposed. I mean, I expect I will be, and I was. That's natural. It's what has happened. But I don't think it's okay. I think it should stop. We shouldn't be imposing either our sexuality or our religion on our children. Right? That's my principle. And it's probably because I'm neither the religion of my parents or the sexuality of my parents. I mean, it's the same for every gay person, but that just makes me more sensitive to those issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, especially...
I guess the crime here is... I don't know what the crime is.
Well, there's a 10% possibility that kid is gay.
Of the... I guess because of the iconography, like the... the robes and everything just makes me freaked out. Now, as an American, it makes me freaked out to see this every year.
There's something that I like, and I think it's going to freak you out.
And then the self-flagellation in public is weird to me.
It is. And imagine if your dad is beating himself in front of you.
Like 1,000 people or more go to watch this thing in Balmaceda. And it's actually a person whipping themselves with perhaps razors, as you said.
The reason now
to make themselves bleed.
I know they do that in South America, definitely in Brazil. There's lots of places where people use razors, and it's the same. It's during.
But I know that it is
the Christ thing. So
like people are bleeding and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they actually put like a crown of thorns on the head, and they actually cut them and bleed. And which to me is just crazy. Or is it just passion? I don't know.
Fun facts.
What?
Which I was going to mention earlier, but do you know the hair of Christ
has been found?
The statue.
They have a DNA.
No. The Christ statue that goes down in the Cortes procession has long, big black hair. It's from
like Arabic hair.
It's from sex workers. From Cortes, they donated their hair for Christ.
For the statue.
Yeah. For the what do you call the statue?
On Cortes, don't they? Isn't the tradition that they stand on the balconies and they sing as the procession goes
all
by.
That comes from Andalusia,
and it's all sex workers that do it. Like traditionally, like the brothels are all singing to him.
The women who
sing, and that's why they go down Cortes.
Yes, exactly.
Because Christ was a friend of the sex workers.
Yeah, what's the name? Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene
is their excuse. I think they're just being sexist, but
she
probably spoke to men, and that's why she was a fucking bitch.
That's why she was a sex worker. She spoke to men. She said, "Hey,
you don't speak to me,
sex worker."
Yeah. Anyway, enough disparaging Christians.
We digress.
I'm sorry. You believe in whatever you want.
Exactly.
Anyway,
these religious traditions. They're just funny.
Wow, that's the Basque Country.
Anyway, spring break's coming.
Yeah.
Which means we're going to see some processions.
Some KKK.
With KKK.
Not really.
No,
we know
they're not part of the KKK.
It's a religious expression, and it's super fun when visitors come, right?
Yeah, to be like, check this shit out.
Look at our traditions we have in our crazy city. You gotta come visit, guys. You gotta come
see
visit.
This. Nobody will believe what I'm telling you.
And It's okay to get your picture with a group of KKK guys here.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's cool.
You say they're KKK.
Maybe this year we should try to get a picture and we'll put it on the Instagram.
I'm not Christian enough, Julie. You're Christian. At least you're brought up Christian.
I'm not Christian.
At least you're brought up. You just said.
I was brought up Catholic, but I'm not Catholic.
But that's Christian.
I'm recovering Catholic.
I'm not even Christian. Anyway,
let's take a break. Okay, so
last story.
Yeah, no, there's two.
Okay.
Well, this one.
Little stories.
Yeah. So, apparently, more and more restaurants and bars are buying their platos, their dishes.
Yes, that's a crime.
And their pinchos.
That's a crime. That's a crime. That's a crime.
They're
oh my
buying
gosh.
Their pinchos and their plates or their dishes from external kitchens.
Yeah.
Right? So
pre-cooked meals. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
There's a major crime in the Basque Country.
These are called fifth range foods. Quinta gama is what they refer to them as, which is cooked, packaged, and ready to be consumed foods.
Yeah, it's like heat and eat.
They have to heat it up. Yeah.
Heat and eat.
So this was a video that I watched. So I watched the video and then I took notes, right? So, for example, they gave the example of carrilleras, which are beef cheeks.
Yes.
Right? So to make a good dish of carrilleras, it requires 17 hours in the oven.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a long time, right?
That's a lot of electricity.
A lot of electricity, a lot of expense, yeah. And, who's going to show up
17 hours before lunch.
Right. Exactly.
To start the process.
That's asking a lot of your employees.
You have to watch that.
Listen, you're a cook here and you're going to have to start it. Well, I suppose you could start it. Okay, at the end of one shift, you could put it in the oven and then go home. But then that's leaving the oven going.
That's health and safety is the
exactly.
problem. No, you can't leave an oven on all night.
Just on all night, yeah.
There has to be at least one guy there.
Yeah. So yeah, more and more places around the city are doing this.
Yeah.
And around, in the Basque Country in general, actually.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's a big backlash because the idea behind the pinchos and the dishes that are Basque traditional foods are that these particular bars make a particular
dish.
Like a dish or a version of this dish in their own particular way, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like
it's always about
and
good
now they're
quality
all
ingredients,
like
fresh ingredients, standardized, homogenized, boringized.
Yeah. So it's kind of a sad
because you can't you lose if you just everybody
it's
gets
becoming so touristy that.
So the number one kind of red flag for us in Bilbao was when we started seeing all the tortillas become bought tortillas from a third kitchen, right? So you'd get all these standard potato tortillas. I hope everybody, you don't know what, have we, tortillas in the Basque Country is not a tortilla in Mexico.
No, Latin America, yeah.
Well, no, Latin America doesn't have tortillas. It's only Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So a tortilla in, I think they might call omelets tortillas in Latin America, but it's not the Mexican tortilla or the potato tortilla. Okay. So what we call tortilla here in the Basque Country is you fry some potatoes and then you beat some eggs, obviously salt, etc. Pepper, mix them in with the already fried potatoes and then fry that mixture. And that's a big thick omelet with potatoes and an egg, right? That's the basic recipe.
That's the tortilla, yeah.
A lot of times it will include onions, but there's a lot of people that don't like the onions. So there's also a tortilla without the onions. And obviously with cheese, with ham, with everything you want inside. So there's also another thing, which is the EU
passed a law
that you're not allowed to have raw egg in any food. That's against the EU. But of course,
because as you know, with pinchos, they sit out on the bar for
They do.
For an extended period of time.
Well, but that's not why they prohibited eggs. They prohibited eggs for everything in the whole EU.
Well, because it's problematic because
salmonella.
Yes.
Because they don't clean their eggs so well.
Salmonella, but also if something is sitting out for a long time, you can also get food poisoning from that, right?
Well, but each problem to its own. What I mean is tortilla, the issue is that a good tortilla, a lot of people don't want it fully cooked through.
Yes, they want
a little bit
runny. Yeah.
Eggy yolk in the middle.
Yeah.
And when you get it from a third kitchen, it's always fully cooked, of course, because it's a third business. You know, if there's any problems, that business would have problems and not the bar.
Or they have to use these certain type of eggs, like these.
There's all these pasteurized.
Yeah, like.
It doesn't even matter.
Different type of egg. If you're going to have a tortilla out on in display, then you have to use these particular type of eggs that have been deemed safe.
No, I suppose.
But, no, it's true.
Mm-hmm. I mean, whatever. It's too much regulation, and people know when a tortilla is made by a third party kitchen, because it's just a crappy, just simple, cheap, not well, There's just not the potatoes are not properly fried. They're just under fried usually. It's just a full block, and it's just too much egg white. It's just not a good tortilla. Mm-hmm. So it started with the tortillas, and then just to see it happen with other pinchos is just really shocking. Where you suddenly see, I think one of the ones I noticed first was chipirones, which is calamari squid
in its own ink.
Which is an onion sauce with squid ink.
Tomato. It's yes. It has tomato. Yes, it's tomato.
Not anchovies version. I guess some people put anchovies.
Carmen, my mother-in-law, makes it with tomato sauce, and then she adds the squid ink.
That sounds good.
So,
anyway, so
there's lots of. This is the point,
which is one of those dishes that take a long time.
Versions of the same recipe,
which is the
that can
beauty.
Occur in different. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
The beauty is discovering how
that bar makes great chipirones and sutinta, right? Or that one makes a really good tortilla, right? Or that one makes. So you go to these particular bars or restaurants because they make these dishes specially,
absolutely,
or differently than other places, right?
And tortilla is one of these it's like your beer, right? It's like I drink beer. I like this beer. I won't go to a bar without that beer. And tortillas are very much like that here.
Yeah.
It's like this place has that tortilla that I like because of whatever. The pimientos.
They make it.
The peppers. The cheese. Something they do properly the way you like. Mm-hmm. And that's when you start seeing that same tortilla that you recognize. And isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's the kind of one that you get on the gas station stop. It's like so offensive.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You're going to give me gas station tortilla? That's a crime, Julie. That's Can you realize how annoyed I am by this?
I put the story in our Txikisode.
Oh my gosh.
Because it is a crime. Like it's taking away
Julie.
the
everything.
Everything.
We're losing everything, Julie. Apart from Basque language, they're taking the tortilla now.
Everything.
Yep.
So, yep.
Oh, well.
Yeah, they have no charm. There's no charm anymore if they're all getting the same food from the same distributor. There's no longer any charm to these restaurants and bars, right?
Yeah. And I have to say.
But
go on.
In Donostia, like in San Sebastian, Donostia, they have a guide now. That will tell consumers where they can get pinchos that are made in-house.
That's the way to go.
So they've had to go that far to go, this guide will tell you where you can actually get pinchos that are not.
Good.
Yeah.
But
you'd have to know to do that as a tourist, right?
You do.
You'd have to know that,
You do. And I was going to actually mention
we're going to have to find this guide.
That was my point was that we really like, I live here the same amount of time as you, pretty much, about some months apart, in about 18 years. Mm-hmm. And I forgot what I was going to say about that. About pinchos, crimes. Oh, yes. That when we arrived here, there was no tourists. I'd go years without listening to English on the street.
Yeah.
And now it's like a weekly, daily thing. There's always tourists everywhere.
There's tourists everywhere.
There's a lot more business for bars and restaurants and hotels.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen...
And they also have to keep up with this mass production of things, too. So
they do. I mean, it's not an excuse to say let's lower the quality of our product because we have more visitors. But in the end, that's what has happened.
That's why people came in the first place, right? Was for the food and the and it's kind of killing the one thing that we had. I say we as if I was part of that, but. It was the one. We live here, and we are part of it. Mm-hmm. We love Basque culture. Yeah, but
it is killing that part of the attraction.
If you make it homogenous and just like everywhere else, it's kind of boring.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So I knew you would appreciate that, Craig.
I got so riled up. I still am. So annoyed because it is. The thing is, I'm kind of lucky. I go anywhere. And I've got an eye that I can see if a bar is going or a restaurant is going to be crappy. Usually, like I'm very good to choose good restaurants and bars to go to. Mm-hmm. When like I'm in Thailand or wherever, China, Japan, I'll find these cool places with really good food.
Yeah.
But even when I travel with my dad, he'll be like, let's go here. And I'm like, no.
Is it the place that has like all the pictures of the food outside?
It doesn't matter. That's the thing. I don't quite relate because I've got my standards. I just know when something talks to me. But it's just when I'm traveling with other people and I gave them the power to choose where we're going to eat, it never works. It's like, man, and it's when I see how
waste
hard
of time and money.
But it's like what you were saying. It's like when you really see how it just becomes a tourist trap, right? Especially here where you come here for good food.
Yeah,
we have a lot of. It's all about.
It has a reputation.
Yeah, so much about food. So many Michelin stars.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. There's even Thailand, Vietnam, great food, but there's also crap food in Thailand.
Of course there is. It's crap food everywhere.
Yeah, and it's probably pretty good, but just overpriced and not as good as it can be.
Decent and overpriced.
Yeah.
I mean, edible, let's say. Sometimes just edible.
Yeah. For a crappy tortilla from third kitchens, as they say. Yeah, no, that's pretty edible. Yeah. Just over-salted. Anyway,
okay,
so just Google good restaurants when you come to the Basque Country. You'll be fine because there's good lists, fantastic Michelin stars, all sorts in between.
Lots of Michelin stars.
Really, even just really nice pincho bars with really affordable pinchos, right? Like it's not expensive to eat really good pinchos. So even though this is a tendency, don't think that it's the end of good food here.
It's not.
Yeah, not at all. It's just you have to be more careful.
There are still places that are against that.
Yeah.
And would not do that on principle.
Of course. Oh, of course. So many.
Yeah.
So many. Good story.
My last story
there's a lot
is just that the 112 emergency phone. So like in America, it's 911.
Right.
In the UK,
I think it's 112, the same as...
No, it's not.
UK.
Is it 999?
Well, when they were in the EU, they were supposed to choose the same number. I can Google that.
So there's an emergency number, right? So in America, it's 911.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's 112. So noted, everybody, if anything happens, call 112.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it is in the UK, but it's different.
999.
999.
It says.
Yeah. Boom! I got it. 999.
You got it. I never had to call it.
Neither did I, but I seem to like.
112 I've called.
I always try to learn like what the emergency number is when I go somewhere.
It's very responsible, Julie. Well done.
So anyway, it's only 40 years. It actually had its birthday. 40 years.
The 112.
Yep.
Oh.
40 years.
This month.
Yep, March. On the March 29th.
Just yesterday or the day before.
Yep.
How cute.
2 days ago. It was
40 years.
40-year anniversary of 112.
Couple of years younger than me. Oh, how sad.
So, there you go. I just thought that was a fun story to say that the emergency number is 40 years old.
And it's a very crime-themed number.
Yes. Well, that's why I chose it for this Txikisode.
Yeah, and for all our listeners, I mean, not everyone, I think Europeans know this, but 112 is the same number all throughout Europe for any emergency.
Oh, is that the same? Okay.
Yeah. So,
and UK is just different because they like to be different.
Well, they were supposed to choose 112, but apparently they held it off long enough. That...
Along with their currency, along with everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there you go.
Cute. Happy birthday, 112.
Happy birthday. Thanks for all the work you do. And why did you have to call 112?
I've just called, well, not all the time, but, just for friends and stuff. Like 2 weeks ago, my friend got his backpack stolen.
Oh, okay.
We were just having some drinks with a group of friends for couch surfing on Thursdays, which I always go to that group. And he left his. I feel pretty bad because it was like literally 1 meter away from me. But if you don't tell me, Douglas, watch that bag, I was just chatting along. I mean, to be honest, he was 1.5 meters away, so it's not like
Oh, he was there.
We're all there.
It wasn't like he went somewhere and asked.
We were all there the whole time.
Oh, wow, that's not your fault.
And it was just, somebody was alone behind us and we were like, he's just smoking. No, he wasn't. He was eyeing the bag and he took off with it. So, I mean, I was surprised. My friends was like, who do I call? I'm like, 112, come on, guys. Where do you live? Like, they were all from here. They weren't like...
And nobody knew who to call?
Well, it was my friend Bego. I don't know why she wouldn't know it was 112, but I'm like, you reach everybody.
Everybody would know where.
But Aitor was.
If you're a foreigner, maybe you wouldn't know. But like if you live here, you wouldn't know the emergency number.
My friend Aitor was standing next to her, and she's like, "What's the number?" And I'm like looking at him, as like, and I'm like, "Come on!"
You're like, "Are you kidding me?"
I don't know if he was paying attention, but I was like, "It's 112, guys!" Like. Anyway,
that's pretty.
And funny. I'm terrible with my memory.
Oh my God.
It's 3 numbers and one repeated,
exactly.
So it's not that hard. So hey, that's a good birthday.
Yeah,
it helped a lot of people prevent a lot of worse things. So
it's great. It's firemen, it's police, and it's ambulance. So it's everything you need.
Exactly.
Any sort of emergency.
And here you got a choice of 4 or 5 police.
Sodionak, we should say.
Sodionak, yes. It's, how do you say that?
It's
congratulations.
Like congratulations, but use it for birthdays. And
yeah, it's congratulations for everything, I think. Yeah. Congratulations for getting a new job. Sodionak.
You got married? Sodionak.
Well, we finished another...
Your birthday? Sodionak.
We finished another episode, Julie. Sodionak.
No, we have a mini crime time.
We do. Oh,
mini crime time.
We finished the stories. So
yes, we're done with our Txikisode. Yes.
Okay. Let's hear a mini crime time. Sorry, I wanted to cut you off earlier. I was just wanting to use Sodionak so
Let's get out of here.
No, we're just going to sit here for another hour or two.
It's possible. So mini crime time. Let's talk about mini crime time today.
So you have our mini crime time.
So this happened yesterday, and it happened on 2 de Mayo, where I used to live. Okay. So a beer delivery truck drove into a building on 2 de Mayo.
Oh my gosh.
Hitting the gas line.
Oh.
That connected to the buildings, right?
Wow, yeah.
Busted the gas line.
Yeah, sometimes it's over the front of the building.
Yeah, all the pipes just goes right there on the outside. Yeah. Slammed right into that.
Uh-huh.
And
so that broke, I'm assuming.
Broke the gas line. And everybody in the neighborhood had to evacuate, including our friends, including our producer, Megan.
Never heard about this.
Had to evacuate their houses because it was a serious issue.
This is borderline mini. How many is this? This is not mini.
Well, it was mini because nobody got hurt, nothing actually happened, but it was like a guy had a car accident and
it's the biggest mini crime time we've ever had.
Kerfuffle in the neighborhood.
Well, thankfully, nothing exploded or caught
so
on
fire.
Our
other friend, I don't want to drop names necessarily.
Okay.
Emily.
I mean, it's a name.
Couldn't get into her house.
Okay.
Because they all live in that area, right?
Yeah.
So everybody had to evacuate their houses.
Friends around the neighborhood.
So there you go. That's the mini crime
of
the week.
Poor Megan. She's been sick this
I know,
week, so
yeah.
she isn't
Our
with
poor
us
producer,
today.
Megan, had to escape. And actually, she'd probably be a better person to tell this story, but
Of course. So shout out to Megan. We
shout out
miss
to
you.
Megan. Yeah.
Recover fast.
Mm-hmm.
We miss you. We need you.
Obviously, we're out
All
of
the
control
time.
over here.
Yeah, I'm saying goodbye before I should. Oh my gosh.
So there you go.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I liked it. Well, I hope everybody's keeping safe and crimeless in their respective
Which
countries
you
and
probably
homes.
are, because really, crimes don't happen that often, and
Yeah.
just because
they
you
don't.
listen to true crime
No.
doesn't mean they happen all the time.
But we want to hear about them all.
Yeah, so if you do
Please.
have any, let us know.
You guys.
Write in your crimes.
We've gotten
And
very
even mini
few.
crime time. So did you see we could have like somebody crashed into a building?
Yeah, anything,
that's a mini
right?
crime.
Yeah.
So tell us anything you have that's a mini crime, and we'll tell it on the
Yeah.
air if you want to do a voice message.
Yeah. And we're very discreet. If you don't want to be named, no
Of course.
problem.
Absolutely.
I will indiscreetly
We respect your
anonymity.
how do you say that?
Anonymity. That's what I say.
I've never been able to say that word.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Oh, you can O or right? I think I saw.
Anonymity.
Yeah, you got it.
So yeah, we'll respect that.
Of
If
course.
that's what you want.
So I was going to say, like, we haven't. Can you believe it? We have not gotten so many stories so far, and we want more.
I know. What
Come on,
the
guys.
hell?
At least some many crime times.
We probably just need more listeners.
Also true.
Someday we'll have
Also
more
true.
listeners.
But everybody has one little crime they can tell us
everybody
about.
does. Everybody does.
And the Basque connection can be as loose as I was drinking a Basque beer.
No, it doesn't have to be Basque. It doesn't even have to be Basque.
Many crimes don't have to be. It's true.
Mm-mm.
It's true. Many crimes don't
It
have
can
to
be
be.
any crime
Yeah.
that
just
happened to
anything.
you. We
Yeah.
just want to hear about it.
It's true. Let's bring you guys in.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for listening. All around the world, right? We've mentioned it sort of, but it's so nice to have people from so many random places listening, right?
Totally.
So many from Germany, so surprising.
Yeah. And Poland.
Yeah. And there's like Asia. There's one or two in Thailand.
Yeah.
There's Vietnam randomly. It's very sweet to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we're not shouting out all the countries. We will soon go through
Compton.
our shout out Compton.
Compton.
We love Compton, especially because we don't know anybody that we know would be there. So we're
exactly.
like,
That's
you're
what makes
our
it so
real
special.
fans. Yeah. Thank you guys. Keep. We're gonna notice you every week if you stay there. We're with you.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody and have a great week.
Yeah. Do.
And hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
we'll bid you
Agur.
Crimes of the Basque Lands is written and produced by
Douglas D. Carvalho.
Julie Garcia.
I'm Megan Dooley.
The sound and editing for each episode by
Douglas D. Carvalho.
I'm Megan Dooley.
Theme song written by
Douglas D. Carvalho.
Julie Garcia.
I'm Megan Dooley.
Sung by the choir with no name and produced by Tom Squires. Podcast art by Distinct Signal. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Crimes of the Basque Lands and contact us at crimesofthebasquelands@gmail.com with story ideas worldwide which have a connection to the Basque Country or any rave reviews. If you like our podcast, please subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, Agur.